Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3837 AM. Today's date is February 10th, 2026, and the title of the episode is, If You Look Beyond the Headlines, You Will See That the New Economic System is Ready. The problem, you never know the full story until after. After, it's too late. And here's the brutal truth. You can't protect yourself after. You have to be ready now. All this uncertainty, the chaos, the warning signs, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just noise. Maybe it's just the beginning of something bigger. Nobody knows for sure, but waiting to find out, that's how people get hurt. Physical gold and silver aren't just investments, they're preparation. They're the foundation of real protection. My friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. No pressure, no games, just proven insight when it matters most. Look, you're either prepared or you're not. Which one will you be when everything changes overnight? Visit X22Gold.com to receive your free wealth protection kit. That is X22Gold.com. And remember, the prepared don't panic, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see that Trump now has completed the foundation of the new economic system. He's letting the fake news know that, yes, the economy is good. He's proud of the economy. And now he's kind of taken ownership of the economy, which leads me to believe that since he is doing that right now, that means we're probably out of the woods of any type of recession or anything like that everyone was talking about. Because Trump now has created a system where he's bringing investment into this country. He's bringing manufacturers back into this country. He's removing the dead wood out of government, lowering fuel prices, keeping inflation steady, preparing the entire country to move away from the central bank system, and at the same time, giving, slowly but surely, the buying power back to the people. And as people experience this, going through the tax season, getting the dividend check, having their wages go up, inflation staying steady right now, fuel prices coming way down, most likely as we go throughout this summer, you're going to see people pretty darn happy. And I do believe that the main part of all of what he was trying to do is completed. Now, of course, we still have that Supreme Court ruling, and I do believe that will be the topper on the cake, because once that comes out, it's pretty much game over for the deep state players, the central bankers. But you can see there are going to be certain countries that are continue to fight back because, again, the central bank doesn't want to lose this power, doesn't want to lose this grip, and they want to bring us into their new system. That's what they've been trying to do for a very long time. And when you start to look at gold, when you start to look at Bitcoin, you can see gold is starting to move back up. You can see silver is starting to move back up. Bitcoin right now is hovering around the $70,000 mark. But I do believe when all's said and done and the Supreme Court makes that final ruling, I think all of a sudden you're going to see everything begin to change, especially as the economy gets better and better as we go throughout this year. And what's very interesting is we could see that Canada is definitely testing Trump, and you could see that Trump is putting Canada in its place and actually forcing Canada to move towards China so the people of the world, the people of Canada, can actually see the truth of the matter. And we've seen this out in Europe where the UK, they're in line with China. But this is what he put out on Truth. And he said the following. As everyone knows, the country of Canada has treated the United States very unfairly for decades. Now things are turning around for the USA, and fast. But imagine, Canada is building a massive bridge between Ontario and Michigan. They own both the Canada and the United States side, and of course, built it with virtually no U.S. content. President Barack Obama stupidly gave them a waiver so they could get around the Buy American Act and not use any American products, including our steel. Now, the Canadian government expects me, as President of the United States, to permit them to just take advantage of America. What does the United States of America get? Absolutely nothing. Ontario won't even put U.S. spirits, beverages, and other alcoholic products on their shelves. They are absolutely prohibited from doing so. And now, on top of everything else, Prime Minister Carney wants to make a deal with China, which will eat Canada alive. We'll just get the leftovers. I don't think so. The first thing China will do is terminate all ice hockey being played in Canada and permanently eliminate the Stanley Cup. The tariffs Canada charges us for our dairy products have for many years been unacceptable, putting our farmers at great financial risk. I will not allow this bridge to open until the United States is fully compensated for everything we have given them. And also, importantly, Canada treats the United States with the fairness and respect that we deserve. We will start negotiations immediately with all that we have given them. We should own perhaps at least one half of this asset. The revenues generated because of the U.S. market will be astronomical. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And when you look at this, you can see that Trump, he's continually putting pressure on Canada. And basically, Canada is going to double down and they're going to lean into China, which will be ultimately followed by the Trump will crush the Canadian economy very, very publicly and basically place tariffs on Canada, the likes of which they have never, ever seen, or the world has ever seen. And you have to remember, we don't need Canada. Canada needs us. We are the consumer. Without the consumer, Canada is finished. And even if China is trying to ship everything to Canada, Trump will not allow those products into the United States. And once again, you're going to see Canada fold just like they've done in the past. And think about what else Trump has done already. He is now removing the Obama's CO2 ruling, and he's wiping out $1 trillion in climate regulations. Amused put this out and said, carbon dioxide is essential to life, not a toxin. The move cuts over $2,400 per vehicle for American consumers. This is the way, and it is the way. And you have to remember, they put all of these things into place to do what? To bring us into the Green New Scam. Everything was put into place for what? For the central bank to control the world, to place carbon taxes on the people. That's why every step of the way, all of this was put in place. And what is Trump doing right now? He's removing it, which means that people are going to feel relief. And it's going to be absolutely incredible as we move forward. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that we could see that manufacturing is having a very difficult time. And people are saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. Trump is bringing manufacturing back to this country. Well, you have to remember, back in the 70s, when the central bank system came fully online, where we went full fiat, we came off the gold standard, what did they do slowly but surely? Slowly but surely, methodically, they shipped the manufacturers out of this country to other countries where people were getting paid pennies on the dollar, which is basically slave labor. Then they shipped the products back here without tariffs, using loopholes, so there were no fees or anything like that. Now Trump has to bring that manufacturing back to this country. Now, if people think you just snap your fingers and just have all manufacturers here in this country, that's kind of ridiculous. You have to build the manufacturing plants. Remember, most of them are obsolete today. Most of them were torn down. Now that we're bringing them back, yes, we're going to have a lot of construction jobs, but we're going to have to wait for the factories. And what we're seeing right now is we're seeing Trump deport a lot of the illegals, which means those individuals, they're losing the jobs, and the existing manufacturers, they're losing those people, which means you're going to see a shortage of manufacturing jobs. You have to remember how the system was created and how it was maintained. It was maintained to keep the illusion alive for the central bank system. And the only way you can keep it alive is to bring in cheaper and cheaper labor. Why do you think they shipped manufacturing out of this country? Why do you think they shipped it to countries where they got paid pennies on the dollar? Because as the value of the currency declines, what happens? People won't be able to afford the products. Companies will not be able to manufacture. So this is what we're seeing right now. And this is why you're seeing a decline in the manufacturing sector. The Cobicio letter on X put this out and said, the manufacturing sector shed 8,000 jobs in January, according to ADP Private Employment Report. This marks a 32nd consecutive monthly decline, the longest streak since data began in 2010. And yes, it's going to continue to happen. You have to remember, number one, you had the deep state, the central bankers pushing manufacturers out of this country. Number two, since they've been doing that, was still happening. And now Trump is removing those illegals that were working in the manufacturing plants, the sweatshops, and he's removing those people. So yes, you add those two together, you're going to see manufacturing decline. But as time goes up, what you're going to see is you're going to see manufacturing start to reverse itself. And I do believe The blueprint for all of this is to build the manufacturing plants as quickly as possible within the next. The problem, you never know the full story until after. After, it's too late. And here's the brutal truth. You can't protect yourself after. You have to be ready now. All this uncertainty, the chaos, the warning signs, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just noise. Maybe it's just the beginning of something bigger. Nobody knows for sure, but waiting to find out, that's how people get hurt. Physical gold and silver aren't just investments. They're preparation. They're the foundation of real protection. My friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. No pressure, no games, just proven insight when it matters most. Look, you're either prepared or you're not. Which one will you be when everything changes overnight? Visit X22Gold.com to receive your free wealth protection kit. That is X22Gold.com. And remember, the prepared don't panic, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. 24 to 36 months. And yes, each one is going to come online at different times. Some manufacturing plants are already built, and some of them are all ready to go online. And you're going to see a lot of these manufacturing plants that are shedding the jobs because the illegals are being deported. You're going to start to see them hire Americans. Why is this? Because once again, as the buying power comes back to the people, inflation goes away, energy is reduced, the regulations are being removed. This allows the manufacturers then to hire the Americans. So you're going to start to see Americans start to fill all of these positions, which means you're going to see the drop in manufacturing start to disappear. You're going to start to see it level out. Then you're going to see a factory come online, which is going to be more manufacturing jobs. Now, they're all not going to come online at the same exact time. They're going to come online, one or two or whatever it's going to be. But you'll start to see an increase. I do believe you'll probably see some of it happen this year. And as we go through next year, the year after that, it will really start to take off. But in the beginning, what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of construction jobs. And you can see a lot of the manufacturers, they're going to try to push back because, again, the central bank, the deep state players, they're going to try to convince them not to come back to the United States. Shen Shuiwi put this out and said, Tim Cook explains why Apple manufactures products in China. The true reason is because of the skill, the quality of the skill in one location, and the type of skill it is, not because of labor costs, since China stopped being a low labor cost country many years ago. So just another pod guy responded to this and said the following. In the coming days, there will be a heavily pushed narrative that because of how deep China's skill manufacturing pool is, the cost of decoupling is too great. This is false. Not because there is a readily available pool or similarly skilled talent ready to work elsewhere. There isn't. It's because when you fast forward 2 or 3 years from now, when companies like Figure or Anduril are attempting to ramp up production and compete with Unitree and DJI, if there isn't a readily available pool of manufacturing talent in the West, then the world will default to ramping robotics production in China. And if you use iPhones as your lens, then it's mostly fine. They'll export those robots and everyone is happy. But the difference is that robots build factories that build more robots, and robots build the fabs that produce the semiconductors that you need to train better models to run the robots. And robots can work the mines in Africa, and robots can produce the solar panels of nuclear reactors, and robots can more efficiently run farms. And of course, robots can man your military. But even if you're looking at it from a purely economic lens, China currently exports for 3 core lacking resources: energy from the Middle East, food from Brazil, U.S. semiconductors from Taiwan. Therefore, the economically rational thing to do is not to export the robots once it has reached escape velocity on its own domestically grown IP. Instead, it is rational to redirect robot production towards directly attaining the resources it requires. Because David Ricardo and Adam Smith never accounted for infinitely adaptable robots when they established the specialization trade framework we all currently subscribe to. And because the gating factor for producing robots will be critical resource, including steel, it's a rationale to throttle consumption by external parties that are attempting to also ramp up production. In that world, China's incentive is to sabotage the West production, not enable it. And I do believe this will completely and utterly backfire on China in the end. And once again, you could see that Trump is going to give every single one of these manufacturers a huge amount of incentives to come back to the United States. And when people start to see that the buying power is coming back to the people of this country, energy is extremely low, and people are rushing to this country to manufacture. I do believe this is going to basically cancel everything that China and the deep state, the central bankers, are trying to do. And yes, is AI going to replace jobs? Absolutely. Are robots going to replace jobs? Absolutely. We've seen this in the past, but again, we're going to see other jobs that are going to be created when these things happen. Just like when we saw robots manufacture in car plants, somebody's got to take care of the robots in there. So I do believe you'll see other jobs that come online. And there are certain tasks that robots cannot do at this point in time. So let's see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting as we move forward. But you can see Trump's entire system is prepared and ready to take it to the next level. And you could see that the manufacturing surge is headed our way. Trump's economy is poised to get another burst of momentum. The Institute of Supply Management calculated its January 2026 index at 52.6, which is its strongest reading since 2022, since it is used to provide a snapshot of the manufacturing sector's overall health. The metric is an important gauge of the labor market. The 52.6 reading from January is a pivotal rebound from last month's reading and its first expansionary print in 12 months, following 26 consecutive months of contraction from October 2022 to September of last year. The uptick to above 50 signals expansion of the manufacturing sector. The expansion is attributed to several key factors, including a resurgence of demand after the holidays, enhanced stockpiling by companies anticipating future tariffs and extensions of pro-manufacturing incentives, such as the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The latest figure for 2026 suggests that manufacturing will once again be a key contributor to gross domestic product growth this quarter, adding potentially hundreds of thousands of new jobs to the national economy. The manufacturing boom under President Trump is just getting started. The supply being rerouted back into the United States today will have multiplier effects long into the future. The warehouses now being built will be tomorrow's source of raw goods, innovative technologies, and serve as the catalyst for reinvigorating domestic and global supply chains. The United States figures to once again be the global industrial leader, a position fortified by emerging technology sector. This strength was made possible by Trump's pro-tariff and pro-worker policies, which overhauled the collective wisdom about market trends and economic possibilities for the 21st century. And we're still at the beginning stages. Elon Musk himself recently predicted that the next 36 months will be the greatest period in modern history for wealth creation. And that's absolutely true, because think about what's going to happen in the next 36 months. You're going to see all factories start to come online. You're going to see the buying power return to the people. You're going to see fuel costs go way, way down. We'll be the leader of energy. You'll see AI technology and other technologies being built here in this country. You'll see people purchasing the gold card to come into this country. You will see energy sales across the world. And once Trump goes after the central bank system and starts to transition us into the new people system, you're going to start to see the buying power come back to the people. Now, I do believe we're going to see the buying power right now come back to the people, because once again, as the tax incentives and the rebate and the dividend comes into play this year, people are going to have a lot more buying power. As Trump holds inflation steady, wages are going to inch up, which is going to give people more buying power. As fuel costs come down, people are going to say, wow, this is incredible. It's only $1.20 to fill up my tank. It's only 99 cents to fill up my tank. It sounds far-fetched, but I do believe we're going to get there. So I do believe with all this happening right now, and actually Trump getting rid of all the Green New Scam regulations and other regulations, you're going to see something completely different. And once again, as we're using our resources internally, drilling for oil internally, producing products internally, we're going to see a very, very different economy. And those people that are getting their buying power back, and I'm talking about Main Street right here, they're going to be putting it back into the economy. And as they put it back into the economy because they're feeling good, well, what do you think is going to happen? Manufacturers are going to expand. Stores are going to expand. Businesses are going to expand. We're all going to see this all play out. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And think about all the people that are going to be purchasing homes. As the rate comes down, this is going to assist businesses to expand because they can take out loans at a lower rate. People are going to purchase houses because they can purchase a house at a lower rate. If we throw in a 50-year mortgage, this is going to help the economy even more so. So you're going to see construction, you're going to see manufacturing, you're going to see retail, you're going to see all of this really start to take off. And it looks like at this point in time, Trump is letting everyone know that he's very happy with everything that has been done so far. And I do believe right now he's in a very good position because the foundation is built. He has everything rock solid right now to move to the next phase. And the next phase is building upon this foundation and building this economy up to get stronger and stronger, not just the economy, but the tariff system to get stronger and stronger to compete against the central bank system. So I do believe going throughout this year, going into next year and the year after that, during Trump's presidential term, we're going to see the economy really start to pick up, and it's really going to start to take off. And I do believe once that the Supreme Court ruling comes down that says, yes, Trump has the right to use the tariffs, I do believe you're going to start to see gold. You're going to start to see Bitcoin really start to fly because once again, people are going to start to realize slowly but surely in what direction we're heading in. And we're heading in a direction where we're going back to sound money, where we're going back to the gold standard. And remember, Trump is going to wait for the last minute, most likely, to say, listen, let's look at the gold that we have. Do we have the gold? What's in there? Is there a lot more than we have? And I do believe he's going to wait until the gold price starts to really move up. And when it reaches a certain point, I think this is when he's going to start to drop the bombs where he says we should really look at the gold and see what we have here. Because I do believe in the end, what he's planning to do is to revalue the gold at not $40 an ounce or $50 an ounce or $100 an ounce, at what gold really should be. Because you have to remember, the fiat currency has lost something like 98% of its value, which if you switch it around is 3,000% inflation. So right there, that tells you everything you need to know, and you can see the direction that we're heading in. So I would say watch gold, watch silver, and watch Bitcoin, because I do believe we're going to see a lot happen as we move throughout this year. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.